Namaste. The two young Vidwans performing for Kalaatma 2020, produced by Dhruv Arts. It's a pleasure to have you perform. How are you feeling, Rakshith?
It's been a pleasure and it's a great opportunity to perform for Kalaatma 2020. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Aishwarya?
Yes, I feel the same, and I never imagined I would get such an opportunity, and I'm really thankful for it. I'm really excited.
It's a partnership, really. Organizations must pick up the talents, real talents, and present them. So pleasure is mine as well, as part of Dhruv Arts programmation. Small questions, human questions. Could you tell me a bit about your journey into where you are today, musical and otherwise?
Okay, so my journey began at a very young age. I can't remember the beginning of
You're
my
still
journey.
young.
I mean, younger than I am. So my family, my mother and my grandmother in particular, are the ones who initiated me into this musical world and taught me right from the beginning.
Wow.
So ever since I can remember, I've always been learning vocal music and the Veena from them. So one of my earliest memories is, learning to play the Veena when I couldn't reach all the notes like this one. I had to get up and shift and then play this note and then get up and shift back.
So you would move thrice, playing 3 octaves.
Yeah. So you could almost say that I've grown up with music. I've never made a difference between a life without music and one with.
So nice, so nice. Have you? Okay. Rakshith?
Okay, so I remember I'm basically from a musical family. My grandfather, he was also a Gamaka Vidwan, and my father, he's also a Mridangist, who I started learning from at a very young age of, I think, 6 or 5 years, I guess. So from there, as she said, it's been a part of my life. I have never been away from Mridangam or music as such. So even my mother is also a singer and Veena artist, and my sister is also a Bharatanatyam. So it's always been a part of my life.
Your sister is a Bharatanatyam artist. Wow. While she grew up with music, I remember seeing you growing up on Mridangam. I remember your dad having you almost on the Mridangam while he was practicing. So those were all those formative years. Great. Why Veena? Is it because you were pushed into Veena? Because there's always this dragon parenting in some of the Indian communities, the Asian communities. You're pushed into a Veena. Mother says, all right, this one, she has 2 children. This one goes on to Veena, that one goes on to flute. Was it something like that, or was it running in the family?
I think my answer to that question is a little different, because the question of why Veena happened long before I can actually remember. So I think I first started, at that age it was just playing around, but maybe when I was one year old or something, my mother tells me that I used to be very interested and watch my grandma play and ask her to teach me, and I used to sit on her lap and try to play. So the question of why Veena is something that I'll have to search within myself to answer, because I've never really consciously made that choice. It happened at a very early time.
You're almost telling me, why not Veena? Why Mridangam?
It was never a why Mridangam. It was why not. It was like I was given every instrument available for me, be it Mridangam, Kanjira, Ghatam, including drums. I started drums at age 7, so I learned it for almost 8 years. I was given every opportunity to learn every instrument available, to experiment on every instrument I was given. So it was never why only this, why not that. I was given that opportunity, so I'm very thankful for my parents for that matter.
Yeah, every time I see interviews with musicians without music, I feel something is missing. So on that note, we'll shift the focus back on the musical aspect of this. Could we have some raga alapana? Just a brief one. Close my eyes, I see a big legend here, an old 60-year-old Vidwan playing. Really beautiful sound, very mellifluous. Thank you. Let's talk about this instrument a bit, the evolution of the instrument. Could you just give me a quick 1 minute brief into what this instrument is, what are its roots, how it gets into the Indian system of music?
The Veena is said to have very ancient origins in Carnatic music. Goddess Saraswati is depicted with a Veena, and sage Narada is also depicted with a Veena. It is one of the instruments which is very unique to Carnatic music and very universal in that it can show all the 4 octaves of a human voice range, and it can also depict all the Panchadasha Gamakas, or the 10 types of gliss notes which we use in Indian classical music. So all of them are possible to be played on the Veena, which makes it a very special and revered instrument. It is seen as auspicious by many people. So it's a very special instrument to me.
Lot of books, lot of things have been said about Veena as a basis. So as you very clearly said, many of the vocalized forms of singing based itself also on Veena. Of late maybe Nadaswara and another thing, but initially a singer would imitate Veena Gamaka. So
yeah, that is another thing. It is one of the instruments which is able to replicate every Gamaka that can be sung.
Beautiful. And also that you said there are 4 octaves makes it, gives it a breadth. Rakshith, do you want to tell us a very brief thing about Mridangam?
As you said, Mrit is soil.
Earlier it was made out of mud.
Yes, earlier it was made of soil or mud. Now which is being replaced by wood. Mridangam is usually which has 2 hollow surfaces where it is covered by various skins and is held together by bar, which was usually first
animal skin, isn't it?
Yes,
those things
skin.
That would go along.
Now it is being replaced by synthetic ropes.
We are becoming more animal friendly here.
Yes.
For a change.
Yes.
So firstly it was Mridanga,
yes.
Mridanga,
yes.
Made out of soil, and then came the wood, and then comes all this. Have you heard of the vegetarian Mridangam? We ran a series on that, on the vegan instruments.
Yes.
Okay. Have you tried? Have you had a go at that instrument?
Yes, I had 2 Mridangams, synthetic Mridangams, which is great contribution from Vardharangan sir.
Dr. K. Vardharangan.
Yes, Dr. K. Vardharangan sir. Hats off to him for his
innovation, isn't it?
Yes, innovation. Yes, innovation.
Animals would be thanking him.
Yeah.
If they could.
It is so lightweight and which is helpful for even artists performing overseas. So it is a great innovation.
How much would the heaviest Mridangam be in what you have seen? In terms of kilograms?
Yes. Before 10 years, it used to be around 12 to 11 kgs. Nowadays, people prefer
lighter Mridangams.
Yes, lighter Mridangams, which will be around 7 to 8 kgs. But I prefer a normal sturdy Mridangam with around 8 to 9 kgs, which will be easy to perform.
Yeah, no problem. You've had a very long travel and you didn't have much time to prepare for this. I'm sorry to put you on the spot with these questions. Can we get to hear some Mridangams? We'll divide this into 2 patterns, the Sarvalagu patterns, the easy on the ears pattern, and then the second part with all the musical mathematics, Kanak and whatnot. We'll save it for the second demo. Yeah.
I'll be playing Sarvalagu in 8 beats, which is called Aditalam.
Thank you. Once I asked, while I was speaking to the legendary Dr. Bala Murali Krishna, Mangalampalli Bala Murali Krishna, I asked him, how do you define Laya? And his answer was so human. He said, Laya is everywhere. It's in your heart, it is in the waves, it's in everything. It's a pattern of life that is very natural to a certain thing. So when you hear such easy patterns, it's really light, very therapeutic at the same time. Right? Veena and Tana, they rhyme. And it becomes, though it is Tanam in one of the dialects, Veena and Tana, they are inseparable, isn't it? Right? You can't. So we'll want to hear definitely some of the Tanam. So, and also many of the techniques. While the techniques on Veena would be interesting to hear. Have you developed any of your own techniques on Veena?
So my grandmother has developed many techniques for playing notes at a higher speed, and we also do this double string or triple string technique where we play simultaneously 2 or 3 notes which harmonize together.
I thought I did hear something like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Your grandmother developed it, is it?
My grandmother has observed and devised and practiced and passed it on to me. So for me, it's directly from my grandmother.
What's her name?
My grandmother is Karnataka Kalashri Vidushi M.K. Saraswati. So I'll demonstrate a bit of Tanam in the Raga Karaharapriya. I'll begin by demonstrating some double string and triple string techniques wherein we play 2 or 3 notes simultaneously, notes which harmonize together. And a bit of a Tana and a high speed.
Yeah.
Some speed techniques.
Or we could save this for your exchange. We can have a question answer session between you. But before we go on to the next musical demo, I am aware that both of you are doing your engineering. You are on your final leg, almost out of the college, and Rakshith is his second year. So how do you manage to do both? And I want you to answer it in such a way that it must be sounding encouraging to the other students who are following it. Let's keep the good things here. How could you do 2 things? And how are you managing it?
It's always been a little difficult to juggle. It's always ended up...
I said keep it nice. Never mind.
Usually ends up with a concert the next day after an exam, or an exam after a concert. So I try to keep it as 2 different sessions. Like I try alternating between studying or practicing. One is like a break from the other. And
so do you tell your mom, I'm taking a break from studies now, and then go play Veena? Is that your definition of a break then?
Definitely. I consider both as something, effort that I'm putting in. So after a big concert, I wouldn't want to study. So I'll tell her that. But mostly, like to manage, I try to think of them as 2 different streams completely. So one is very different from the other. One is like a break from the other. So there's a little bit of compromise on both sides, but I think the fact of having to juggle 2 different things like this makes you a little more sharp in the other one. So I'm happy with it.
So does it mean less mobile time, less all this gadget time?
Oh no, that's all there.
Oh right,
that's unavoidable.
Okay. Oh, so you split it into 3 parts then. All right.
Yes.
Rakshith, how about you? How do you do engineering, Mridangam and games? I've seen you play screen time, games on the screen.
I've been told to reduce my screen time of mobile and laptop, and I keep gaming, and so I'll have a certain time limit for both. I mean, all 3: gaming, Mridangam, and studies. but you can't have a time limit when you go for a practice. When you are in a mood for practice, you can't just come back and go to your room and study. But when it's on your head that you have to practice, you'll go to a room, lock yourself for hours and practice, come back. When you have to study, you'll have to do the same thing. But gaming is just for friends or just for
That's
with your
another
mates,
thing.
isn't it? It's nice to, Sorry?
Yeah, as he said, we prioritize according to the need of the hour.
Okay. So there's no GMS timetable in your case, right? There's nothing like games, Mridangam, studies. There's no fixed timetable. You just go on the...
Like, you can't keep a fixed timetable. One day you'll have a fixed timetable, and the next week you'll have someone call you, please come for a practice, please come for a program, or please come for a game. Friends will call you anytime and they'll ask you, bro, it's too boring, come, let's play.
Have you guys played together earlier? Is it the first time in Kalaatma 2020?
No, we have played together, I think 3 or 4 times before this.
Yes, we have played together in 3 or 4, as you said, 3 or 4 times.
Interesting. So moving on towards the last leg, it's really a great chat. I enjoyed thoroughly talking to you, and there's so much to learn. There's so much of vibration, really. You've performed a lot together, 3 or 4 concerts in the past. And also good to know that, people like you, young people like you in the subcontinent are having 2 talents, one on the academic side and one on the performance scene side. So it's great. I wish you both good luck, and lovely to have you in Kalaatma 2020. Produced by Dhruv Arts. There's a lot of pain that goes into producing such series, but then the payback, what we get, or the pleasure side is having you, listen to you guys see such performances. So can we have a bit of music with both of you involved as a finale to this chat?
Sure. We'll play a small Karup Swara, which is a Swara pattern wherein the number of notes keeps decreasing. So we have a complete cycle, then half a cycle, quarter a cycle. The Raga Latangi.
Thank you.